Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, pictured for first time since King Charles removed his titles. The monarch's brother was stripped of his titles, styles and honors after a string of scandals, including his friendship with pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. Drew Mountbatten Windsor has been pictured for the first time since his brother, the king, stripped him of all of his royal titles, styles and honors last month. The former Duke of York, 65, was photographed riding his horse in the grounds of Windsor Castle on Monday. The former prince, wearing a khaki overcoat with riding trousers and a black helmet, was joined by a female groom. Andrew was seen at the top of the Long Walk, close to the gates of the castle, during his morning ride. Andrew has been forced to give up his sprawling 30-room mansion, Royal Lodge, and is expected to move into a property on the King Sandringham estate in Norfolk in the new year. The removal of his titles and his Windsor home comes after a string of scandals, including his connections to pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein, and allegations he sexually abused Virginia Giuffre after she was trafficked by Epstein. Andrew strenuously denies the accusations. The king's younger brother initially stepped back from public duties in 2019, following an interview with BBC Newsnight in which he discussed his friendship with Epstein and said he had cut off all contact with the convicted sex offender in 2010. However, emails between the pair published by the Mail on Sunday and The Sun on Sunday showed they were still in contact in 2011. Andrew used to frequently ride around Windsor Great Park, but this is the first time he has been seen since 3 October. He last appeared publicly with the royal family at the Duchess of Kent's funeral at Westminster Cathedral on 16 September 2025. A statement released by Buckingham Palace on 30 October announced, "His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His lease on Royal Lodge has, to date, provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease. Onda will move to alternative private accommodation. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been, and will remain with, the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse." While Andrew's title has now been struck from the peerage roll, he remains eighth in line to the throne. The decision made by the king does not affect Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, who remain princesses and retain their HRH styles. Meanwhile, Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, will not longer use her courtesy title, Duchess of York. Andrew will move to an undisclosed property on the King's Sandringham estate, with the accommodation privately funded by Charles, who will also make private financial provisions for his brother. The former Duke had a cast-iron lease for his Royal Lodge home, and only after negotiations with the King's representatives did he agree to serve formal notice to surrender the lease, which had more than 50 years left to run. But the process around surrendering the lease and other formalities has some similarities with buying a property, which can be drawn out, although it is understood things are moving as quickly as practicable. Even before Andrew's titles were formally removed, there had been mounting pressure for him to give up the Windsor estate, as it emerged he had only paid peppercorn rent for more than 20 years, amid the furore. Before moving to Royal Lodge, Andrew lived at Sunninghill Park, a country house in Berkshire that was given to him as a wedding gift by his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. While his daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, have both been seen publicly in recent weeks, Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah, has not been pictured. After some initial confusion, it was confirmed last week that the palace will use the hyphenated form of Andrew's surname, Mountbatten Windsor, in line with the late Queen's declaration made to the Privy Council in 1960. Although Andrew stepped back from public life in 2019, he has joined the royals at high-profile engagements, including Christmas, Easter and the King's coronation. The former prince will not join the royal family at Sandringham for Christmas this year, when the King and Queen are usually joined by external members of their families for the walk to St. Mary Magdalene Church.